Thank you.
Okay, good. There we go. All right, so who's Century Business Solutions? Well north of 4 billion process and credit card transactions processed each year. As you see, 10,000 users. And another big value add that we offer is that our development team has written integrations, some 50 plus software integrations with more to come. And we maintain as certified for SAP Business One. Numerous awards that we've received, a couple really terrific ones recently. In most cases, when you're in a B2B environment, card not present award, card not present activities are happening when accepting credit cards, and we received an award, the Card Not Present Customer Choice Award this year also. As you see, accredited by the Better Business Bureau, they're one of our customers in Orange County, and recent Stevie Award winner. And I'll package this up and send this also. But you know, these are industry awards and client awards that we received. Very proud of them, and it took an awful lot of hard work to get there. So it's great to have the recognition. So we're a full merchant services provider that we're going to help identify, and that's part of what Stephen's team will do, help identify ways to accept payments that are ideally unique for your business and to save you money. Our support team, of which Justin will be presenting, is here to help implement and support your team with the highest level of service. We look to make it easy. This is not something that takes a long, long time to do. Out of the box, we have built connectors to all these solutions. I heard you're coming from Sage, and what that means is we could potentially even work with Eleanor's team to save you money pretty much right away as you're making that transition from Sage over to SAP Business One. By the way, I've worked 7 years for Sage and some 7+ years for SAP Business One. I was on the original launch team. If you go forward, you have shopping carts. Any clients that have shopping carts too, if you have those, offer those, we have built connectors to shopping carts and also CRM applications. Some of the top features you're going to see: online invoicing portal, recurring billing, email pay. We also accept ACH and EMV chip reader for those situations where a client, it doesn't sound like that's in your case, John, that you do that, but many of our clients have walk-up windows or so, or they have people out in the field, they have service reps out in the field, and they need to accept credit card payments when they're out in the field with chips. We're level 2 and level 3 processor, as mentioned, in-house development, and we're an SAP development partner and certified integration. So with us, you can be able to, within SAP, and this is, I think, so key for our application for customers who are currently using SAP Business One. Right from within the order entry and invoicing screen, you're going to be able to accept credit, debit, ACH payments directly into Business One, thereby eliminating double entry. Our focus is really going to be to reduce payment processing costs, provide you while providing the security through our tokenization vault. And in many cases, we've seen companies storing credit card information within their business application, which does not make them PCI compliant and opens them up for potential fraud. That doesn't happen with us. All you're going to see within SAP is the last 4 digits of the customer's credit card number. The rest is stored in our tokenized cloud vault. And we can also have custom payment schedules with recurring billing. That's an important feature for many of our clients when they have recurring billing. Within our payment gateway, and it's important to realize that our development team wrote our own gateway and does ongoing development to add additional functionality to special needs of clients, Eleanor, that you might have. it's helped us to really provide another level of value for our partners and for their customers. So we'll talk about next day funding, customizable reporting tools, as I mentioned, PCI compliant. This is an important feature in that EBizCharge, our gateway, you're going to be able to go to our online gateway and take a look at every single batch, every single transaction, whether it was today, last week, last month, last year, or 5 years ago. So an audit comes along and you want to know what happened to a transaction, you're going to be able to find that right here with this information flowing directly into SAP Business One. And very powerful search criteria for quickly finding information about us. One of the areas we'll cover today, as I mentioned, EBizCharge Connect. Okay, and as you see here, this was branded for the Better Business Bureau, but payments and invoices sync seamlessly into SAP Business One. I won't spend any more time on this. We'll talk about it when we see there. So differences between us and some of the other solutions that are out there. Refunds, immediate release of funds on any for refunds, let's say. In-house customer support available 24/7. John, we do not charge for our product and we do not charge for support. We earn our money the hard way each and every day when transactions are going through, while again lowering the fees that you're currently paying maybe some of these other solutions that you're running. Our support team is really an award-winning support team, extremely proud of it. We do not lock you in with a long-term contract. We are a month-to-month. So if you're not satisfied with our pricing, you're not satisfied with our support, you would give us 30 days notice, and written 30 days notice, and you have the ability to take your business elsewhere. Having said that, our retention rate is north of 99%. And that's because of the outstanding support we supply our partners. Okay, Stephen, can you share with us a little bit of how your approach and how we help our clients save money?
Sure. So it's all based on the technology. So we've essentially engineered our solutions to get a physical lower cost, not in terms of the processing fees, right? So typically, if you're a business that accepts credit cards, the way that a merchant processing company is able to lower your fees is simply by undercutting the margin the other guy is charging, right? That's pretty common in insurance or a lot of other industries where they're dealing with a commodity. That's not really the case with credit card processing outside of when you're talking about an integrated solution like this. It opens up additional layers of cost that come directly from the banks that issue your customers their credit cards. So whether it's a Chase issued credit card, a US bank issued debit card, whether there are rewards on it, what level of rewards, whether the card is corporate and issued to a business versus personal and issued to an individual, and so on and so forth. So most people don't know there are over 350 different combinations and different card types just within Visa and MasterCard alone. And so maximizing the cost savings on that portion is what we specialize in. And that can only be done via the tool that you use to run credit card payments. So without kind of revealing the secret sauce, we've had our development team and engineers build the application that we're going to show you today with SAP, specifically so that without the customer having to enter any additional information when they process a sale, and without them having to take any additional time when completing that transaction, they always qualify for the lowest possible cost. Every business is different, so some businesses will accept a lot of these subtypes of credit cards and debit cards where we can make a big impact on the cost. Some of them will accept fewer of those card types. So it's always case by case. We want to review a business's credit card processing statements, which list in detail those specific subtypes of cards. That way we can put something specific together that shows exactly what we're able to achieve and how we're able to do it. So that's typically our approach and what makes us different from other credit card processors out there, in that we're looking at a completely different area of the cost and able to affect that for our customers.
Okay, great.
Does that help, John?
Yes, it does.
Good, good, okay. So 2 more team members have arrived. Justin Gittner is a senior support specialist, and Justin would be involved, will do the demonstration today of our EBizCharge with SAP Business One, and Justin would also be involved in helping to implement our software, and we can discuss how long that takes, the ease of doing that, and providing support for you. Also, I think Matt Rogers has joined us. Matt is a senior relationship manager. I asked Matt to join. I wasn't aware that Stephen, well, I was hoping Stephen would be able to join us, and thanks. So, Matt, would you say hello?
Chris, this is Justin. I just jumped on the line as well.
Okay, good. Thanks, Justin. Yeah, I saw you. I see you're logging in right now to SAP Business One. And Matt, you also on the call?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Matt Rogers. I'm one of the senior relationship managers here, one of the senior sales guys and account managers. But yeah, just to piggyback on a little bit of what what Chris was saying earlier, we do have a fully vetted PCI compliant solution that's supported by or that's verified by SAP. We're excited to show you guys. There's a lot of features that you'll see with our solution that you'll notice aren't available in some of the other products that are out there. And like he said, to make it even better, we don't charge for it. So we're excited to show it to you.
Great. And Matt, the leader of BlueOcean is Eleanor Wu, and I've worked with Eleanor for a good number of years. She does a fantastic job with the customers, and thrilled to have BlueOcean as a Century Business Solutions partner. And Stephen, will you be staying on, or are you going to drop off and Matt will pick it up from here?
I will stay on as long as I possibly can. I do have a cutoff at 10 a.m., but I'm going to try to stick around. That way we can all be present.
Great. All right, Justin, if you would take us on a tour of our integration with EBizCharge with SAP Business One. One key area that John is interested in seeing, and John's with Crown Thermo.
Crown Technology.
Crown Technology, okay. And they manufacture road marking material to make sure we stay in the white lines. And they also have a second company that actually lays it down, sprays it onto the roadways to keep us safe. They sell both all over the United States, and now they're selling internationally.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
So
Thank you.
You should be able to see my screen where I have SAP open. EBizCharge has a few different areas in which we can run a credit card inside of SAP. I figure I'll just give kind of an overview of a lot of the different main features that we have, and if there's questions or anything along the way, just feel free to stop me at any time.
Right.
So if I want to start off going through a sales order, obviously a pretty common process for most merchants is that they're going to do a sales order, delivery or shipment on it, and invoice it out. So the first thing I'll do is look up the customer that this would be for. And we'll go ahead and just say today is the delivery date for the demo here. We'll select whatever items getting purchased. So this should all be like your standard SAP that you would go through. We'll say 250 is the amount. And we'll just say they're exempt for this. Okay. Once you have your total here, you'll notice there's an EBizCharge button at the bottom of the sales order window. And we can always move this around so, I could line it up a little better here if we wanted to. When we go into EBizCharge, it's going to pull up the deposit window. This is the standard deposit window that you would have, but we've added this EBizCharge tab instead.
Okay.
So if I have a returning customer, you do have the ability to save payment methods on file. If I click the drop down here, this test account has a whole bunch of cards on file, so you can see there's not really a limit to it. Obviously, in most live environments, you might only have like 2 cards or something on file for a customer. When you select a card, it will autofill the info in here for you. Now, in the opposite respect, if this was a new card, You can always set this to new card, and then you would just fill out the card info below.
Okay.
There is an email address field here as well. So let me select one of the cards that we have on file. The email address, there is a configuration to have emailed receipts go out. Usually we turn it on for most merchants, and then you have the option of inputting an email address for it to go to, or you can always remove the email address if you don't want to send a receipt for any given reason. Transaction type can be defaulted to a pre-auth or a charge. That's kind of just specific to each person's workflow. A charge would be like a straight sale up front that would generate a down payment invoice inside of SAP as well. Whereas a pre-auth is more of just an authorization on the card. So it's not a final sale. You would usually post the pre-auth at the time of invoicing the order out if you went that route. Pre-auth is usually a little bit more common from a sales order level, so we'll go ahead and run the pre-auth transaction here. Ideally, you're going to get this approval message. Obviously, if it declines, you'll get an appropriate message for that as well. So when you've run a pre-auth within a sales order, you can check this credit card log at any time. Within the log, it'll show you any transactions that have been run. So in our case, we can see an auth only of 250 was run. We expand some of these fields. You can see like the card that was charged, address verification, security code, if you had entered that kind of stuff. This way you can always double check an order before you move forward with invoicing it or anything. Now, obviously, whatever the turnaround time is, I'm going to just go straight to an invoice, which is where the actual capture would occur. If they use a delivery or anything in between, that's totally fine as well. So when we get to the invoice level, if we go back to the EBizCharge menu here, you'll notice that it pre-fills the credit card from the original sales order, and the transaction type is set to a capture at this point because of the prior authorization that had been put on the order. Now, in most cases, you would just capture that original authorization. If for some reason something changes, they decide they want to charge a different card, the pre-auth has expired, whatever the case might be, you can always change the card info if you had to. You can also change the transaction type to a charge if you wanted to run a new sale for any reason. In most cases, though, capture is what we'd probably stick with just in this scenario. So it'll ask you to confirm this is the right, reference number and dollar amount. So we'll hit yes. And then it should tell you that the transaction was captured. Now, keep in mind also, with mine, I haven't changed anything. So 250 is the same amount I'm capturing as what we authorized on the order. If that changes, though, it will take that into account. So if you have some items on back order or anything like that, the capture of the final charge will be done for whatever the invoice total is at that point. And if there's a difference between the two, it just gets released back to the cardholder. So now if we were to take a look at this, you can see the applied amount of 250, balance due is 0. If we look at the relationship map, it's generated an incoming payment record for us now that we've captured the charge, just so everything balances out. Any questions about that process so far? Or?
Oh, it looks pretty simple. I really like that.
Perfect, perfect. And then this EBizCharge window, like how I was showing you, you could do a charge instead of a capture if you needed to. Just be aware, had we not processed anything at the sales order level, we could always come into EBizCharge from the invoice and just enter our card info and do a sale, a charge that way as well. So you can do it at either level.
Okay, now, would
Yeah.
you come into this? I'm sorry. Would you pull up the invoice? Let's just say after the fact, because a lot of times what we do is our customers will once they get close to the due date of the invoice, they'll call us or email us and say, okay, I want to put this on my credit card, and so we'll go in and and process the charge, et cetera. So, and then of course we have to post the payments to the invoices and so forth. Now,
Right.
if that were the case, if we weren't in this screen already, processing the invoice, if we were,
Yep.
would we just come back to the screen, open up that invoice, and hit the EBizCharge button?
That's one option. What I usually would say, though, if you're not on the invoice already for some reason, what you can also do is through incoming payments here, you can just create an incoming payment record. You can also access EBizCharge from here. And the nice thing about the incoming payments is you can, if they had multiple invoices to pay off, you could do all of them as one charge instead of going into each individual invoice to do it. So
good, yeah, because that's what they do a lot as well.
Yep, okay, perfect. So if I look up a customer from here, it's going to show you the list of invoices just like it normally would. You can select one or multiples. It'll give you the total amount to charge in the bottom right. And there's no EBizCharge button through incoming payment. You go to payment means, which is usually what you would go to with incoming payments, like in SAP in general. So in the payment means window, we've added the EBizCharge tab here as well. It's the same idea. I could enter new card. I could look up a card on file already, and then just hit charge at the bottom here.
Okay. Well, actually, this is a learning experience for me for the SAP Business One, because we haven't actually gone live on it yet. So actually, I'm learning more than about your product today.
Good. So yeah, so sales AR is where you do the payment directly on the order invoice.
Mm-hmm.
Banking is where you can do the incoming payment and essentially apply to multiple invoices if you wanted to. And then you'll notice if we look at the relationship map, you have all three invoices, distributed between that one incoming payment total.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Okay. So that way, if we go into any one of these, they're going to show the amount being applied.
Okay. All right.
The one other piece, just since we're here, if we were to do another incoming payment, you also have the ability in SAP to take payments on account. I don't know if you guys ever run into that, but this would be like if you haven't even created a sales order yet, you're taking a deposit for something else.
We do quite often, actually, for our for our international sales. We do that. We take deposits, and also we have another division who quite frequently takes prepayments before they'll complete the order. So yeah, that happens quite often.
So just instead of selecting an invoice, you select payment on account and plug in, whatever the amount is that you're taking down here. And then same idea, go to payment means, you have your EBizCharge window that'll come up, and then you can go ahead and just charge a card from here as well. That'll just sit against the customer account. So obviously, whenever you do get around to creating the invoice, you'll just have to apply that $45 credit to the invoice, but that would just be like standard SAP at that point.
Right. Okay. Great.
Those are the main features of like everyday use. Now, there are some add-on features we have inside of SAP that are available as well. So one of them is going to be, there's an online payment portal. If you have customers this is primarily for customers on terms. So you would create the invoice and you're giving them, 30 days to pay it or whatever the case is. You can upload the invoice to an online customer portal where the card holder themselves can log in and pay their own invoice. And then those payments will sync back to SAP as well. So I can show you how that works if you think that's something that might work for you guys as well.
Now, is that a part of the, because they mentioned briefly earlier about where the customer can get an email with a copy of the invoice attached to the email, but then there's a link in the email where they can go and pay the bill themselves. Is that same concept there?
Yeah, well, Anna, so we actually have two versions of this customer paying their own invoice scenario. One of them is EBizCharge Connect that you see on the left here. The other one is email payment or e-payment form. They both are the same idea of the customer paying the invoice. The difference is the payment form sends them a notification with a link to a payment page to pay one specific invoice. Okay, that's what the email pay does. And there's no login or anything they need. It's literally just click a link and then enter your credit card info. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Now the EBizCharge Connect, this is one where it takes the customer to a login window and they have to create a username and password. And when they log in, it lets them view one or multiple invoices. They can pay multiple invoices with a single charge. They can pull payment history. They can save a card on file. It obviously gives them more options because they're in like a managed payment portal, right? Versus just like a one-off payment page. So both are options. It's just up to you guys, like which one you would want to utilize.
But both of them are, pretty much the customers driving the payment process.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like if you have a one-off customer who doesn't do business with you regularly, but you want to send them notification, the email payment form is maybe a little bit easier, right? If it's a customer that's a regular customer of yours, though, and they have, invoices every month or two that they're paying, the online portal would probably be better for them because they will have, constant access for all future invoices that might come up.
And that would be good because we do have a number of customers who consistently pay their bill via credit card. And,
so then the portal
right now they got
really
to,
good.
Yes, because right now they have to, fill out one of our forms, send it in, and blah, 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 blah. So I can see that definitely being something they would be interested in.
Okay, so let me show you how it works then. If I go into EBizCharge Connect here, and you can filter a specific customer you're looking for, I can find all customers here if I just refresh with no filter at all, or you can use customer grouping as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with customer groups in SAP, but are you guys familiar with that at all?
Well, again, we're just starting to learn this. I mean, they're here actually this week doing some of the demonstration and so forth. So,
okay,
they're in the middle.
So let me show you this really quick.
In the middle of the implementation, but this is a good thing to know because if John wants to use it, then we'll relay this back to the team about the customer group.
Okay,
it helps.
So yeah. So here's the way it works. So if you just refresh with no filter, this is all customers in your database with outstanding invoices that get filtered here. Obviously, if you plug in a specific customer ID, it's one person. The way customer grouping works is inside of the business partner, which is like your customer records in SAP, there's a thing called group right here. And you can assign customer groups to customers. Now, you guys may be using this for certain filters already. I don't know for sure. It's something you could check on, but you could set EBiz Connect as like a group. So if you have certain customers where it's like, okay, this customer is always on terms, every invoice we create for them, we're basically going to upload to the portal, then you could put them in a particular group. So that way you could filter just that group whenever you want to. And the plus side to that is instead of you clicking on individual invoices to upload, you could just say upload all, and it'll upload all new invoices for all customers in that particular group, at one time. So just to make it easier.
for you.
Oh, okay.
So just know that those things are all options, right?
Okay.
So the way that it'll work is you'll notice there's the status column here, and then it'll show you the customer ID within the group. So this EBizCharge Connect consists of at least a few different customers for me. This Econ demo account, this 005, and the 001 are all customers tied to that group, for instance. If you click an individual invoice, it'll ask you, do you want to upload this invoice to Connect? So I could say yes. If you do upload all, it's going to upload all invoices in the list to Connect. Once an invoice is uploaded, like here's the one that we had clicked on individually, it'll go into an uploaded status. It will sit in an uploaded status like this until the customer goes online to make a payment against it themselves. So I have a login to one of these. Let me grab it really quick and I can show you what the customer sees like when they log into the portal.
I'm just curious now if they didn't go into the customer portal, let's just say on a by chance situation where they decided, okay, well, I'm just going to call the payment in rather than logging in and doing it themselves, and we go in and process the payment and apply it and so forth.
Yep.
Would it still say uploaded, or will it automatically, okay, no, this has been paid, so I'm going to mark it paid?
So we've been working on the resync when an invoice gets paid directly through SAP. I'll have to double check where it's at right now. You have a couple options, like you could re-upload it and that'll zero out the balance on the customer portal. I have to double check though if it updates the status to say paid. I mean, ideally we'd want it to, but I know that that's something they've been working on. So I'll check on that and find out, and we can let you know. I can let Chris know, and he can refer back to you guys.
Yeah, and John, any enhancements we make are automatically offered to our customers too. So we're constantly looking and improving the EBizCharge, and that's all part of no charge support. So
it's just a simple update to the software. Or,
Yeah, so it's all, our integration with SAP is all based on an ARD file, which is how most add-ons for SAP get registered. So we would just have to, like, if there's ever an update down the road that you guys need, it's basically just one file we copy over to your computer and then re-register the add-on, which in SAP takes maybe like 2 to 3 minutes to do, if that.
Okay.
So it's really fast. Now I just lost my login here, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, so SAP.
John, while he's doing that, what Sage product are you currently using?
300.
Sage 300, okay.
So let's do an example here. Let's say this invoice right here, 5979. I'll go ahead and click on that. We'll upload it. We give it just a second here. It'll go into an uploaded status. That will also send an email notification to the customer that they now have an invoice to pay online. And when they click the link in the email they get, it would take them to a payment page that looks like this. Now the difference obviously will change the logo here to be, specific to the company logo. Card or the username and password. If it's the first time a customer's come here, they click create new account and it'll ask them to verify a couple pieces of info. If they're a returning customer, they would use their same login info, for all invoices that they ever need to pay down the road. So once I log in here, we can see our invoices that have been uploaded. The one I just did was this 5979 invoice that we see right here with $400 due. So if I select an invoice that I want to pay, I can come into pay by credit card here.
and I can either enter in my card info if it's just like a one-off charge I want to do, or I can go into saved credit cards if I've chosen to save a card on file before. You'll notice under the My Account option, there is a Manage Payment Method, so the card holder themselves can add or delete a card on file if they want to. And then those cards that they've added would show up in a drop-down like this. Now, this is a test account, so there's a bunch, but your customers might have like 1 or 2 cards, on file here. So they would go ahead and hit Pay Now, and it'll come back ideally saying it approved. If it declined, it'll tell them accordingly that it declined. They could print this, email themselves, whatever they want. Select and Pay Invoices will take them back to the remaining invoices due. They could also choose more than one at a time, and it would run like the sum total. If they're wanting to pull any history, they can go to Reports and look up Payment History here. It would let them choose a date range, let's say everything so far this month, and then I could export this report if I wanted to. My Account, again, they can manage payment methods, change their password, whatever they want. And then they would just log out when they're done. So those payments that are done, for one, you'll have a report through an online gateway of all your transactions that have been processed. We'll have that report differentiate between what you charged in SAP versus what your customers paid through the online portal as well. And if we go back to this eBiz Connect window, if I refresh this now, and we'll filter our customer group again.
Now, I'm just curious, is there an email that gets sent out saying that you had this customer pay in the portal or something like that, or is it a notification within SAP or what?
We can do that as well. Yeah, I'll show you that in 1 second here. So invoice 5979, you can see now is marked paid.
Yes.
Okay. If you go and look up that invoice, it automatically created the incoming payment record as of today.
Oh. Okay.
So that happens automatically. So here's what we can set up for your question. There are 2 sides to notification. There is an online payment gateway that all your transactions go into. And if I go ahead and log in here really quick and look at SAP, okay. This source column will tell you where a transaction came from. So you can either log in here once a day and you'll be able to see it looks like one customer made a payment through the online portal because it's labeled eConnect, versus these ones labeled SAP means you charge the card yourself inside of SAP directly. Okay. So that would be one example, right? And you can see who the customer was, what invoice did they pay, what their customer ID number is, how much they paid, all of that kind of stuff, so you know what to expect. The other option, if you want, is whenever the customer makes a payment online, like you had mentioned, we can have it send you guys an email internally that says this customer paid this invoice, this dollar amount, and whatnot. So both are options for you.
Great.
It just depends if you want the emails or if you'd rather just pull a report.
Okay.
Email payment, it works very similar, just instead of it being a full-on portal that the customer logs into, it takes them to a one-off payment page like this. It would have your company logo up top. It would autofill the invoice detail here, so the dollar amount, the invoice number, we can add the customer ID number. The card holder just enters their card info and hits Pay Now. But it's only to pay one single invoice that they got the notification for.
Okay.
The interface of this email payment is exactly the same as the eBiz Connect. So you can do it by a customer group, an individual customer ID. It'll give you the status notification of uploaded versus paid. It's just that it's a payment form instead of the online portal.
Okay, so we can choose who gets the email or emails through that e-payment form there.
Yeah, and you could even create 2 different customer groups. If some people are returning customers, they could be, in a portal group. If other people are not as frequent, they could be in, the email payment group, however you guys want to do that.
Okay, great.
There is also batch processing. So the most common scenario for something like batch processing, there's 2 ways it can be used. Let's say you pre-authorize on sales orders and you create deliveries, and then those deliveries get invoiced. So if I create a sales order and I run a pre-auth of like $100, and then my shipping department creates the delivery, there is a batch processing you can do, or a batch invoicing, I should say, where it will filter out all sales orders that have a pre-auth on them and have a delivery number available but have not yet been invoiced. You can select one or multiple of these orders, and when you hit process, it will generate the invoice for you based off of that delivery, and it will capture the credit card charge for whatever the final invoice total is at that point, considering anything that might be on back order or whatnot. So this lets you batch process a group of transactions and invoice out a group of deliveries all at one step as well. So I don't know if that would fit for you guys, but that's obviously an option available as well.
That's only if you do the pre-authorization?
And you've created the delivery.
Right, okay.
Yep. So that way it'll filter out, like you might have one order that you've authorized, but it's not in stock yet, right? So there's no delivery. So it won't push that forward. But if it's pre-authorized and you've created the delivery, then it'll invoice that out in the batch.
Okay.
I think that's mostly it from the EBizCharge standpoint. Any questions you have or other scenario you can think of that you run into that we haven't covered yet?
Well, I can't think of any other scenarios. I mean, it sounds like, and from what I'm seeing here, looks like it's a pretty easy system to use.
Cool. So the one other thing mainly that I would just show you a little bit more then is the reporting side. So we looked at this briefly, but this EBizCharge is the payment gateway where all transactions go to, right? Whether you charged it in SAP, the customer charged it through the portal, any of that stuff will show up here. You'll have all the individual transactions, and then you will also have the batch total for the day, which is what will settle when the batch closes. That's also what you should see reflected in your bank account, like when the deposit comes through. At any point, if you like hard copies, you can go to options, you can export, print, or email this, but it will keep an internal batch history running for you as well. It gives me a snapshot of recent activity, but I can also choose show all batches and go back to day one. There's no cutoff to this, so as long as you're with us, all your history will be here. If I close this. So
I'm just curious,
batch,
at the end of the day, does it automatically batch out and close, or do you have to do that manually? Or what?
It'll automatically close. So like we have some merchants, they don't even log in here on a daily basis because it's just not necessary, right? But if you want to report, then it's good for that. But yeah, it'll auto close otherwise. Okay, good. So Batch Manager, where we're at right now, is kind of one day at a time that you're viewing. If you wanted to pull a date range, you can go into Reports. Within Reports, Sales by Date is probably the most common report, but you can see there's a number of reports you could pull here. This will default you 1 month back, so 9/11 to 10/11, but you can always select your own date range if you wanted to as well. Again, you can opt to export this, print it, email, whatever you like. Down below, you can see how it kind of breaks up your different daily totals. Okay, and then it'll also give you a grand total for that entire range as well.
Okay, great.
You can search. So if you're looking for something specific, as long as you know a dollar amount, an invoice number, a customer ID number, something to tie back to the charge, you can always do a search and it'll pull up all related activity. There are fraud filters built in here as well. It's up to you what you do or don't want to utilize there, but you can filter things like address verification, requiring security codes to match, put a cap on maximum dollar amounts that can be charged, stuff like that. I think that's pretty much everything I have from a functionality standpoint. Only other question I would have for you, I guess, we're talking a lot about SAP, but do you guys also accept payments through like e-commerce on a website or maybe
we don't
conventions
we don't as of now.
Okay.
We don't as of now, but that is something that we're definitely looking for in the future.
Okay.
Especially for one of our products, we feel like that will be a good fit for e-commerce, and so going forward, that'll be something I think we'll be definitely interested in.
Okay. So EBizCharge as a payment gateway does integrate to a lot of different shopping carts available out there. Usually you would get a shopping cart to platform like your checkout page and everything off of on your website or your inventory and all that stuff. So
Right.
if you decide to move forward with this, when you guys get to the e-commerce stage, we can always work with you on what you guys are looking for versus like what we might already work with, just to make it even easier for you.
Okay.
We also offer mobile apps, just so you know, for Android and iOS. So if you ever have like, trade show or convention or anything like that, where you guys might process like mobilely, that's also an available option as well. So
sales
Okay.
reps on the road. All right,
stuff like
technicians on the road, things like that to
Okay, that's what I was thinking, more like the
accept
sales
payments,
rep on
yeah.
the road business. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless you have any other questions for me, I think I'm all out of features to show
John,
to you.
Excuse me, Justin, it's Chris.
Yeah.
Would you take 30 seconds to talk a little bit about what an implementation looks like? And
Yeah,
how long
definitely.
it takes?
Yep. So implementation, the nice thing about our add-on is it'll automatically get pushed out to users within your SAP. So the way that we usually do it is we get connected to the server that you have SAP installed on or hosted off of first. We will implement the EBizCharge add-on, which you can see right here at the server level, and that will push it out to any other users that connect into that SAP database the first time that they log back into SAP. At the server level, and to set up the config and run a test takes maybe 40 minutes or so, like about that, just depending.
Okay.
When it gets pushed out to other users who log in, it's like a 1-minute installer. They'll get a pop-up window that says, install EBizCharge. They click next, and it takes like a couple minutes, and it'll be good.
Now, how does that? I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm just curious. How does that work on the individual? You said it gets pushed out to the users. Now, of course, we'd only want certain users, especially people like in our accounts receivable or in accounting, to have that feature, on their system. So we just choose who would receive that.
Yeah. So here's the way it works. The add-on itself gets pushed out to all users because it's a database level add-on.
Okay.
So everybody will have to at least install the module, like let the installer run one time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Once that's been done, you can use your user preferences to disable the module for certain users. So what I would usually do, if it's like majority of your users do not need it, only a handful of people do, what we can do is default the eBiz module to be disabled for everybody. And then for certain users, we'll say we want it to be automatic. So that way it is disabled for everybody except like Sophie has it automatically enabled for her user. Okay. And in that way, you know, aside from the initial install, it's never going to actually launch itself for people who have it disabled.
Okay, good. That sounds like what I think we'd do.
Yeah. And Justin, next question, support. They have John's team has a question on support. How's that? How do we work that?
Yeah. So support's one of the highlights here. So we're, you know, an all-in-one stop or stop shop. So whether you're having issues with the integration itself, like from a technicality standpoint, or if you're just having issues with the merchant account, maybe a batch didn't fund, or you know, you're having trouble pulling a report or something like that, or you want to update like your bank info, you're always going to just contact our support department for pretty much everything. We don't outsource any of our support. It's not some convoluted automated system you call into. It's kind of like you call in, and if you hit 1 for support, a live person, myself, or one of our other reps here will pick up the phone. And then we can help you with pretty much anything related to your credit card processing.
Or do we have like an account manager or anything like that?
So you'll have Chris or somebody from the relations department that will help you get the initial account set up, and they can always be a direct point of contact for you if you know, needed to make a change of service or something like that. In our support department, you know, we could give you some of our direct extensions here, but for your own benefit, it's usually best if you just hit like extension 1. All of us are fairly knowledgeable on the softwares we work with, so, you know, it'll probably just get you a faster response. But we do have direct extensions as well. So if you like to work with somebody in particular, that, you know, that's fine too.
Okay. All right.
And we're on West Coast time, so, but, you know, we're manning it all day long. Okay. And training, Justin, training?
Yeah. So, you know, training would kind of be like what I've gone through with you today, but obviously a little more hands-on or a little more in-depth to your specific process of how you want to use it. We can either schedule it so as soon as we do the install, we do training right after, or sometimes if we're doing like the install at the end of the day, we could schedule training for the following morning or something like that.
Just a web meeting like this is?
Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, you could have like a whole bunch of people join in if you want to. And usually, you know, the demo, I'm giving you an overview of everything. The training, though, we do it a little more focused. So, like, if you're never going to use batch processing, we won't even, you know, confuse people with it, right?
Right.
We'll just kind of gear it towards, like, how are you guys wanting to, you know, charge customers?
Yeah, your process.